How much time are you spending trying to solve a problem that may not even exist or wouldn't exist if you just trusted each other?
That's the point. It's fundamentally a trust issue.
Yes.
And the cost of distrust is so big. It's so high. It's the number one cost on your income statement. It's distrust. Hey, Dave.
How are you, Lorne? Lovely to see you. Love that shirt. That shirt is an impressive shirt.
I wore it at Woodstock, Dave. Some of our audience wouldn't know what Woodstock was.
I was looking at it earlier and I was thinking maybe it's one of those things where you see the sailboat, those things that you had to stare at for a long time. You could then see the sailboat and those magic painting things,
Yeah. I could never. Do you see the Wicked Witch or the really beautiful? I always saw the witch. I don't know what that meant.
We should talk. So how long have you had troubles with your parents? Let's talk about that.
Exactly. So as you're wrapping up August, you guys do anything to kind of wind her down for before Labor Day, or do you guys like barbecue up or something?
We were hoping the kids were going to come down, but they were all getting ready to go to grad school and law school and all that stuff. So nothing major. We got a couple projects around the house that we're finishing up, and then we always do a big party at the end of September, and so we're getting prepped for that. Just make sure the yard looks good, that kind of stuff. But nothing crazy, nothing major.
Our oldest grandchild is going to university starting. Wow, it's it's shocking, right? Like I was just looking at a picture of, how Google sends you those photos.
Yes.
And, I was like, are you kidding me? That was who is the young guy on the tractor?
They're like adults now, and they are adults now, and then their kids are all. It happens, Lorne. It happens. We don't age.
Maybe we don't.
Age,
I know.
But
I know. So here we are. A couple of things that thought might be fun to talk about. Should we start with do a little bit of a pizza review to begin with?
Yeah, we can start with pizzas. I like pizza.
You want to start with Ted Lasso. Why do you love Ted Lasso so much? And for our audience, we got to assume that most of you have watched it or have heard about it. But if you haven't, Ted Lasso, of course, is an American football coach who in this first season series unwittingly ends up being a Premier League football coach in England, and for the wrong nefarious reasons, but it turns out to be a wonderful experience, blah, blah, blah. And was that 3 seasons of that now, Dave, right? And then now he eventually moved back to Kansas City, but they've come and recruited him, the owners of the English team, to go back and run the women's Premier soccer team. But it's all about culture, isn't it, really?
So the thing that I love about Lasso, well, many things, but the thing that I think about is he doesn't know anything about football, soccer. He doesn't know anything about the sport, doesn't know anything about the players, doesn't even know what offsides is, doesn't know what any of the calls are. And yet he's able to not just make an impact with the team, but come in and that shows you that it resonates with me, because we buy these companies in industries that I have no clue. Finance, technology, all that stuff. I don't have a clue. And the team or the companies are made up of people who've spent their entire lives learning about this thing. And so it's a good lesson for me to kind of think about how do you have an impact separate from being subject matter expert, and it shows you the gap between being a subject matter expert and actually building a cohesive, strong culture that is supportive and succeeding and performing. Because underneath it all, if the team had never performed,
right,
the story would just be a joke. I mean,
it wouldn't matter, would it?
Exactly. And so that, I think, is the underlying theme to all of it, is he was able to not just impact the culture of the organization, both the team that he was coaching, plus his boss, plus his boss's ex-husband, plus the community all around him fell in love with him and fell in love with the team and fell in love with the way they play the game. And he was able to impact that without being the subject matter expert, but it wouldn't have resonated if they didn't perform. Because at the end of it all, you've got to put points on the board. You got to win matches. You got to win at the right time. And ultimately, that that really resonates with me is that.
I agree with that. So if we were going to do a pizza review on the fictitious football team, the Greyhounds, right? They're the Greyhounds.
Yeah.
We don't know how the women's team is going to turn out in this series, but we assume that it's probably going to go in the right direction. He's using the same leadership things. But if you were going to rate that Greyhound team at the peak, what kind of a pizza score would they get and why would they get it?
So I give it New York style, thin crust, perfectly made, great homemade sauce, wonderful mozzarella. It's the kind of pizza that I want to eat periodically, but on a regular basis. If I have my choice, this is the pizza shop I'm going to.
You're going to this pizza shop.
I was talking to somebody today about getting pizza, and she asked me which pizza place I liked in Boise, and it's this New York family that started a pizza place, and it's not just homey, it's darn good pizza, but it makes me feel at home.
So let's break down the ingredients. Why do the Greyhounds get that really high rating from you? Let's say in the Portnoy kind of rating, it's like 8, right? Or a 9.
Sure. 8.5.
Really,
8.75.
8.5, right. So what are the ingredients that it has that in that Greyhound team? What did Lasso do? What are the elements that land for you besides great results and winning? Underlying that, what did he do?
So that is, okay, how to break it down in all of its constituent parts. He was true to himself. He honestly came in saying, I'm going to help these men become good men as well as a good team and good soccer players, right? And so he invested in that, but he didn't deviate from that. So in the first season, spoiler alert, in the first season, they get relegated. So they didn't perform well and drop down, but he didn't deviate from where he was focused and where he spent time investing in those individuals. Then we talked last time about the having an influencer inside your organization. He spent time figuring out who were the leaders in this organization, who are the folks that maybe they're not at the top of their career anymore, or maybe they're just a pain in the butt. And he targeted the individuals who are definitely the ones that the other folks on the team looked to for leadership and guidance. So Roy Kent, he looked at Roy, and if he could win Roy over even a little bit, he could then bring some of the team along. They did the same thing with Jamie Tart, who was just an a-hole and an egomaniac, and slowly but surely started to bring Jamie along. And that took several seasons to resonate. And then he found the experts. Who are the experts in the organization? And the kit man, Nate, not only knew the sport, but knew the strategy behind the sport. He's almost a savant when it came to the sport. We're killing the spoiler alerts, by the way.
We are.
But he was able to identify those key influencers early on, and he didn't rush things. He didn't force things. He didn't make things happen faster than they could happen. So I think it's patience. I think it's a commitment to one single direction. And I think it's understanding who are those individuals that you're going to need to bring along for anything to be successful.
I use my 10 elements as a kind of a filter to kind of assess these ingredients, like what I thought, just reinforcing what you said. He was really clear about what the purpose it was. And the purpose involved winning, but it wasn't the sole purpose.
Right.
It was the advancement and development of the human beings that were underlying the essence of that team, right? Yeah. And to build community. There was so much love for the Greyhounds, but it was around our purpose was to create this experience of advancing as humans and also building winning football. But the values, like one of his signs that he put up, leave, right? I have a t-shirt that one of my clients gave me. It says, it's the blue t-shirt with the yellow thing. Believe on it. I should have wore it instead of my Woodstock shirt today. But he was very consistent on his values, right? It was respect, personal accountability. He's a very abundant guy. He's not positively toxic, but he's always looking for the positive and to get the best out of each. Like you say, Dave, he had the ability to go in there and get the best out of the individuals from where they were at.
Yes.
They had different skills, and you knew how to really bring them together to accelerate their best, right?
Yep.
One of the things, and this is a bit of a spoiler alert, but I think it's instructive around. And one of our principles on the 10 elements is that to make it people first and then customer obsessed, to take the negative friction out. One of the first moves he looks for is to take negative friction out.
Yep.
the strategy. So when he gets to the women's team,
Yes, I know exactly what you're going to say.
the locker room was shit, right? There was one bathroom for all these women. And,
And it was a urinal.
it was a urinal. And he doesn't look to go, so he's looking for that moment, right?
Yep.
To find a way to do that. And he surprises them by, it's a small but a huge thing, right? I mean, it was like,
and he makes it theirs. It's not like we're just going to give you this. He made it professionally. He made it theirs.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to say is he demonstrated openness by addressing his ignorance up front, because he wants them to be open with him, but he didn't just say, I need you to be open with me. I have an open door policy. He actually demonstrated his willingness to be vulnerable, to be the dumbest one in the room, to be the one who doesn't know anything about the sport, and took all of that verbal abuse and all the eye rolling and all that stuff, and didn't matter. He was on a mission.
There is such a lesson there about ego and leadership, right?
Yes.
He is clearly the coach, the manager. He is, and he makes he's not fearful of making the decisions.
Yeah.
But he listens.
Yes.
He recognizes the people that have got insight and talent around him, and he's willing to allow his ego to back off to do what's right.
Yes.
And not about being right all the time.
And he off being respectful too. Like when he met Nate, the kit man, he said, "Excuse me, what's your name?" And Nate said, "My name?" Like no one has ever asked him his name.
Right.
No one had ever, treated him with any respect or any modicum of, you're part of this team too. And that level of treating everybody in the organization with respect. He walks around the building, he says hi to everybody. He knows everybody. He's met everyone. And it's that kind of setting the stage for, I want you all to treat each other the same way that I'm treating you, but he doesn't come out and say, this is what we're doing. It reminded me of, I don't know if he actually said this, but Francis of Assisi said, go forth and preach the gospel, and every once in a while, open your mouth. And Ted preaches the gospel. He's just going through there saying, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to treat each other. This is what's going to happen. But he never says, this is consciously what I'm doing. But you can see the wheels turning. At least at the beginning, I was like, man, what the heck is this guy going to do? Is this some goofy comedy or something? But it's deeper than that. And that's the thing that I really like, was he was intentional from the beginning, but it was not exposed in the show itself. You just kind of had to watch it evolve.
Yeah, well, obviously we're big Ted Lasso fans, and we're not the only ones. I mean, it's one of the most popular shows in both England and here in North America, because we relate to the positivity, the struggle, the genuine nature of it.
And the way sport brings us together, and the way sport can bring a community together. And I think it's great.
I would never hold myself up to be any kind of Ted Lasso, but I recall doing one thing when I was the VP of operations for the LA Kings Hockey Club. And the forum at that time before Staples Center was in Inglewood. And the ushers were all part-time workers from the Inglewood community. And we subcontracted that work to that organization. It was really the LA Lakers organization, but we subcontracted all the usher work. But before every game, the ushers would come and post themselves at the entranceway and that kind of stuff. And I made it a ritual every home game to walk around and shake every single usher's hands.
Yeah.
And thank them. Every single game. I never missed one. And those people, for the beginners, I think they thought it was kind of weird.
Well, they were right.
It was kind of weird. And they were a little bit, but after a while, when they got it was a warm greeting between all of us. And I just said, thank you for being here. Thank you for looking after our fans. And it was my small little, I don't have a lot of them, but it was my small little Ted Lasso moment. And
it really doesn't take a lot of effort,
No. And it was free. It just cost me intentionality, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so
we're fans of the show.
All right. They've very high pizza scores for the Greyhounds and Ted Lasso.
Yes.
Should we transition to this, on the reverse side, that crazy article that we shared with each other, and it was about how to outsmart the technology that's trying to surveillance, to watch you, but we'll show you the ways that you can get around from being surveyed, because now employers are using these tools to watch you and connect your Outlook calendar with your whatever chat you're on, with your Slack.
Yeah, so little devices. Now people are coming up with devices to keep my mouse moving, and
right.
Yeah,
and now we got the counter device moving thing, and we've got the you're on too much, you're not on enough. You're using too many tokens. You're not using enough tokens. The energy is so crazy. What's your reaction to this?
Well, when you sent it to me, I think I said, this stuff is just bullshit. I just don't. If you have that much paranoia or distrust of your team, then you got bigger issues than monitoring how long so-and-so is on Slack or not on Slack, or in meetings or not in meetings. There are better, more conducive ways to get production out of your team than creating paranoia. How much time is your team spending making sure that they're spending the right time doing the right work versus just doing the work? I mean, if they've got to go, okay, I got to log into this because I got to make sure that they see that I'm on track and on task. It's just that kind of paranoia, and then you create layers, right? So, okay, I'm going to create a little piece of software that'll look like my mouse is still moving, and they have the little vibrating thing that you put your mouse in, so it looks like it's still moving. And then the folks watching you, well, now we got to develop software that accounts for a mouse moving at a certain rate and RPM so that we know it's somebody faking, not really using this. Yeah, well, I'm going to come up with a way of, what are you doing? How much time are you spending trying to solve a problem that may not even exist or wouldn't exist if you just trusted each other?
That's the point. It's fundamentally a trust issue.
Yes.
And the cost of distrust is so big. It's so high. It's the number one cost on your income statement. It's distrust.
Yes,
all the
100%.
shit we do
100%.
around distrust.
Go ahead, Lorne. Go ahead.
No,
I'll let you go.
It really troubles me, Dave, because, the thing about the sell job, I'm going to come into your office, you're the CEO of a company, and go, you know what? I have a new software thing that you can track everybody in your organization and what they're doing and whether they're ripping you off or not. Would you like to buy this? And so what makes you say yes?
It's fear, it's paranoia, it's distrust, it exposes the weakest part of the organization. If you don't have clear goals and objectives that are set up for, we need this by this time, or this is what needs to happen, or I need you on this call at these times, or whatever. If people aren't showing up, if things aren't being delivered on time, if things aren't happening in the way that you need them to happen, then you talk to that person and you say, we need to talk about what's happening. We need to talk about whether or not you're performing. You don't create this. I think it's another way of also avoiding difficult conversations.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, I've got to set clear expectations. Well, that's a lot of work on my part. I just would rather, I've had teams in Ireland, Costa Rica, India, Estonia, Romania, all over the world, and I've never had to have any management or monitoring software. It's you can manage this, you can lead this, and you can get great results without creating paranoia or trust issues.
And I'd have to be convinced of this, but there may be some argument for it in some cases where you've got compliance, huge compliance issues. And so you've got to literally track to prove, you're not breaking a law or something. Like,
oh, sure. If there's security issues or
something like that.
But you can do, you don't need to track whether or not Lorne took an extra 4 minutes to go to the bathroom. I mean,
and Garrett, I wrote a blog on this as well. There's a disproportionate amount of this stuff is being used on frontline people.
Of course.
The warehouse worker, the call center person, and like they're experiencing bladder problems because they have to go and, they're only allowed to go once every, 4 hours or some crazy thing. It's just insanity.
We're gonna squeeze every dime out of the people we pay quarters to. But the guy making $500,000 a year, well, he's doing something important.
Yeah,
it's obviously he's doing something important, or we wouldn't pay him that much.
Yeah.
No one checks
Anyway,
his
you know
credit
what?
card bill. No one checks, come on.
Back to the pizza score. You have surveillance software. You get a 1 on my pizza
You
scores.
no,
I don't care how much your
you're a
results are, how
microwave
much of you
pizza.
suck.
You could know you're making those English muffin pizzas that you used to make when you were a little kid, You're and you're using ragu, and you got nothing against ragu, but you're using ragu and not even
No,
mozzarella cheese. You got shaker of Parmesan you're throwing
no, it's
that.
plastic. It's not cheese.
You're
So,
there's a whole level of sadness that exists in your life if that's the kind of stuff that you're doing. It's just an unwillingness to actually lead the team. I
this trust issue, which we know is really important, and I want to lift it up to a higher level because I read another article that why people are getting so negative about AI. And, part of and I shared that article with you. We were bouncing back and forth on that one too.
Yeah.
It was kind of an interesting article about Peter Diamandis talking about, remember the tobacco industry when
Yeah.
when we were growing up?
Yeah.
It was like, we don't need the regulation on our,
Oh, no,
just
no.
trust us.
Trust
Like
us.
this is
Yeah.
trust us. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Nicotine doesn't hurt you, right? I mean, it doesn't. I mean, we don't need the regulation.
Cigarettes are healthy. Just think.
Yeah, they're good for you, right? And then the other one was, the pharmaceutical industry, right? You don't need, let's trust us. You know what? Those, I know you were born without arms and legs, but I mean, it's not. I mean, I'm being terrible.
What's a little thalidomide between friends, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's overregulation. We know that. I mean, I talk about being constructive capitalists and believe that's the best system. But that doesn't mean that you can do whatever the hell you want and that I'm going to trust you. And I don't trust the Silicon Valley guys on AI. I don't trust them. They're making billions and billions of personal dollars. And the idea, just trust us, I just don't. You know what? That's Zuckerberg saying, just trust me on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know what?
Social media it keeps us more connected. It builds community. It's super good for
there's
us.
None of this is done around just selling ads and hooking little kids on. I mean, so the trust issue is, and Diamand's point is that people feel a lot better about AI if it was really solving problems that they could see in their daily lives. Like if it was reducing the cost and affordability issue, if it was, solving cancer, if it really was doing that. But right now it's data centers and Claude and
the assumptions about water quality and noise in the area and how and what gets published widely is how wealthy are these people? How rich are they becoming? And if you want to build trust, I'm getting poorer and you're getting richer. How am I supposed to trust you? And the last couple things you created and bestowed upon us were less than pleasant. And why don't you solve the healthcare problem, or why don't you solve those issues? And I know there are folks who are working on those things, but I don't think there's been enough. I don't think they've done enough to actually plant the seed to say, yes, I am trustworthy. Here's how I can be trusted.
And don't worry, trust me, we'll end up creating more jobs than we won't. But if you're sitting there in tech right now and you're actually seeing that your job is going away, and I'm working on it. By the way, we're inviting you to work on how to get rid of your own job, but just trust me, it's going to work out. By the way, there's no safety net.
Yeah, exactly.
None.
Exactly.
Unemployment insurance for how long? The point is that, the leadership we need is to step up, and the idea around the Chinese are going to beat us. So let's just go hell bent for leather and F it all and it'll work out. And trust me, no,
it plays on our fear, right? So the Chinese are going to do it first, so we have to do it first. It preys on weakness in am I going to get to keep my job, or I'm not going to get to keep my job? How am I going to feed my family? How am I going to take care of my kids? Or what am I going to be doing with my life if this comes into my job? There's not been enough thought associated with that. It's kind of like in Jurassic Park when they said, they looked at the problem and they thought, gee, I wonder if we could do this, rather than thinking, okay, we can do this. They didn't think about, should we do this? Or what is the fallout of whether or not they can or should or shouldn't be doing these things? And
I love what AI. I use it every day, Dave. I mean,
Oh,
I
I
know
do
you do
too.
too.
I do too.
And I love where it can take us. The end with it is that building trust by really opening ourselves to what we need to put the safeguards around it in the
So,
right kind of way.
so Lauren, what in your mind would be the, not so much the antidote, but more the approach that some of these AI leaders, or the folks that we're looking at, the Anthropics, the Groks, the all the different AI tools, those leaders, what would you like to see them do in order to start moving forward towards building that trust? If we look at the
Well,
Ted Lasso perspective,
yeah,
like what would we need to
yeah.
start seeing?
Number one, I'd love to see that there would be a commitment for and some people have talked about this, a dividend that would go to the community. So we all become owners.
Yeah,
So that
which happens in Ted Lasso. The
we all
community
become
becomes
owners.
owners. Yeah.
We become owners. So if we advance and we make all this money and we participated, we don't go, let's see how I can figure out how to take my compound and move it to Rio de Janeiro so I don't
I
have
put
to
it
go and pay
underground so that when
taxes.
the rebellion
Yeah,
happens,
yeah,
I'm safe. Yeah.
exactly. Or I'll go to Mars and, F you guys back there. It doesn't matter. So, when you're making trillions, let's have a dividend that goes. Secondly, is let's be wide open around the different ways we think about how people get to participate and contribute. So first of all, at an organization level, there should be a framework and a structure is that if is here's a way to transition for you to participate. If you can't participate, here's the safety net beyond just unemployment insurance.
Yeah.
And good luck, buddy. But anyway, the point
Too late.
is that so we need to have organizations need to have a proactive policy around here. It's not like just trust me, we're going to work out and wink, wink, you'll get a good severance.
Yeah.
Bye bye. Have a nice day. Good luck in the
Well,
marketplace.
you're off my balance sheet, so that's good.
And when you've got, and this one other article will share with you, when you've got a woman who leaves her job, one data point, but it's indicative, in 2025 and has applied for what? Did she apply for 4,000 or 5,000 jobs?
4,000 jobs, yeah.
And not one job, a very capable, person. That can't be the answer. So we need to think about it differently going forward that allows us to be more abundant in sharing the outcome and the good of this. And then by individual, and if you're a small business, you can get some support around how you do it. If you're a big business, you need to have a game plan. And we've got to build the safety nets in for people to progress and contribute. We're not going to be, and so that's my soapbox around. And
well, I like the idea of providing a dividend of sorts. It's kind of like what the state of Alaska did with the Alaska Fund when they started opening it up to petroleum and oil, and now some of the profits that are associated with the oil industry up there get distributed to the population of Alaska, and so everybody participates in what was seen as this is going to damage our environment, and we're known for our wildlife and our environmental stuff. So, but everybody, because everybody in Alaska owns the land, then everybody in Alaska benefits from what comes out of that land. And I could see that making a lot of sense. I think that I like that sort of perspective. You can do it if you want to do it. In my mind, Lauren, I think about this as we're solving this like it's an engineering problem. And so there's a lot of, it's very complicated, but we're not solving it like it's also a human problem.
It's a human problem
where there's a deep complexity associated with that. It's not even,
exactly.
It's not even how am I going to feed my family? It's what is my purpose if I don't
exactly.
work and success and having challenges and all those sorts of things. Those help give you definition as a human being and help you grow. Well, that's a more complex human problem. And it feels like, we've allowed the engineers to turn it into an engineering problem.
Yeah. And to that point, it's not like we have a shortage of things we need to learn how to do to help each other as human beings. I mean, there's so much work that we need to do with each other, but the traditional ways we funded it you can't have a $40 trillion debt load that you're servicing either. That doesn't work either.
No.
And so the answer isn't just more taxes and more government. It's rethinking this differently, right from the core of the individual to the organization. up to the broader community. We need to open that up. Otherwise, I
Well, we
think we're
saw
going
what
to.
happened with social media, right? It became, now we all realize the detriment to our health, our detriment to our psychology,
Yeah.
detriment to our communities, the pain it causes for younger kids, and all those sorts of things. And what could we have learned from that we could apply to what's happening inside of AI? And it feels like, again, we're not trying to solve it. That it's more, the problem we're solving for is cash related. It's the balance sheet, right? The problem we're solving is the balance sheet, not the human sheet.
Yeah, and I think the answer isn't a race to the top for the most successful, and and forget about all the people that
Yeah.
can. It's like, I think it's an oversimplification to say, it's a Darwinian thing. If you make it, you're smart, you're good, and the rest of you people, go away. You know, it's just not going to work for us. But anyway,
No. It's
and
it's
and
it's very not human. Yeah.
yeah, and I think it kind of goes back to the way we build trust with each other is to open it up into in a very. I know this is going to sound oversimplification, idealistic, but it's the idea we need hope.
Yeah.
My wife was talking. Kathy was talking to me this morning about a woman who's written a book called Critical Hope, and we need to inject hope back right at the organization level. The hope and excitement about being part of something. The hope of that I can advance. The hope that my family can advance.
Yeah.
And that the people I love and care for around that we can. That doesn't mean that everybody gets, that doesn't mean everybody has some finite millions of dollars. However, it also means that I don't have to make a choice between living
Yeah.
and dying because I don't have any health insurance.
Yeah, and you want to be able to talk to your kids and help them understand how, they're going to move through life, right? And it's hard to have those conversations now because who the hell knows?
Yeah.
And you and I both know inside of any change, organizational change, I don't care how big the organization is, but transparency and from a leadership perspective, communicating with folks on a regular basis so that they know there is hard ground that they're standing on and that it's not shifting soil all the time. And no matter what, I may not know how it's going to end, but I do know we're going to be in this together. And here's what's happening. And here's what we're doing. And here's how this works. And here's how, by bringing folks along rather than just saying, trust me, don't worry, we got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It actually undermines trust to say things with that level of confidence because we all know you sure as hell don't got it. And what you got is how are you going to extract more so that you end up at the top of the heap? Screw the rest of us at the bottom.
Yeah. One of the things, and I'm kind of, going public with this, and I'm a little bit risky, but it may turn out to be nothing.
This is a safe space, Lorne.
But I'm kind of excited about it is that I'm working on a project and we're exploring the idea of engaging all of Canada in a conversation around our purpose and our values, all of Canada.
Oh.
And using AI as a tool to help us, but having a very open, transparent conversation where we invite everybody in the country, because we can do it with the technology now.
Yes.
To talk about, Canadians often define themselves, and I'm speaking both as an American and Canadian citizen, because as you know, I'm both. But right now I'm just talking with my Canadian citizen hat on. Canadians have often defined themselves as not being American. And it's not a very proactive definition. It's, I don't know what it means even, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm not that.
So, but there's an opportunity right now to go and talk about, what is our purpose as a country really? And what are our deep values that really define us? And to invite everybody from our 7 and 9-year-old granddaughters right to my 96-year-old mother, to every institution and group in between, to share their thoughts on that in a very open, omni-channel way.
Yeah.
You can send in a TikTok video. You can send in there'll be a formal process that you can download and use. You can run it with your YPO chapter or your chamber. Doesn't matter.
That's
Can
cool,
we
though.
create this massive conversation? And what, of course, AI can do in the background is collect all the data securely and then put the themes out and gift it back to Canada to say, here's what we said.
Yeah.
Now, what we choose to do with that, that's up to all the different,
That's an exciting project, though. I mean, if you think about it, the challenge in even a 10,000 person organization to do something like that. 5,000, hell, even a 40-person organization. The challenge in taking those 40 or 4 million different views and pathways and trying to find the common themes, try to find the common values. That's awesome. I think that's a cool project. I think that's.
I know. I've been trying to get people to tell me it's stupid and to let go of it. Because it scares me a little bit.
It should, but you know what? A little fear tells you you're in the right place. If you weren't a little scared of it, you'd think, this is too easy.
We could never have done it before. But here's the beauty of AI. But now the algorithms, if we put the right kind of thinking and because you don't want nefarious people you don't want trolling on it, but you should make it as transparent as possible. So if you want to draw a picture of what it is, draw a picture. If you have a poem, do a poem. If you have a real set outline, I think you should do that. But the algorithms will come out and play it back for us to see. And then, I don't know, to me, it just feels, and it came from all the work that I've done with organizations, Dave, around this is how you build a great culture. You use the same process, you just scale it out. And
now you can scale it with AI as much as we talked
you can.
About.
We could have never done it.
Exactly. As much as we talked about some of the concerns with AI and those sorts of things, this is potentially one of the reasons why a tool like this is so valuable, is that you can do something like this. You can, like the US is so polarized, but I think most of us are somewhere in the middle. But that voice isn't percolating up, and this tool would allow for you to have those voices that are not heard all the time to be heard. You know, all that sort. I think that's pretty cool.
And it may fizzle out. We may never do it, but the idea of it is kind of exciting.
Well, I think it's kind of cool. You could probably do it locally, just kind of do it.
Well, yeah, but 40 million people, we could never have done it before. But now, and if you could scale it up and get a large. Think how rich the data would be.
You could
if you put the right guidelines around it, you could find out what do the people under 20 think? What do the people from Quebec think versus Albertans think, or but you could turn that into what are the bridges that bring us together?
Yes.
Not all the stuff that brings us apart.
That's the easiest stuff. That's the stuff that's easy to see. It's what are the common things? I think that's awesome. What a great project. I think that's super cool.
Yeah, well, you know what? Stay tuned. We'll talk about it here maybe more.
No pressure.
But you know what?
No pressure. Just fix a country, Lorne. Just fix a country. No pressure.
You know what? We can do it these days.
But we can sure as hell screw it up. So,
well, look.
You bought it. You broke it. You bought it. You broke it. You bought it.
So many things that bridge us.
Yeah.
When organizations find those things that bring us together, at the very little small organizations, the software company you're running, whatever. When we find those things and we focus on those things, and we celebrate our unique differences, but we find those things that bridge us together, it's Ted Lasso at scale.
Yes,
just to go full circle.
Yes,
and
that's why I think it's fantastic.
There's hope in there, Dave. There's hope in there, and and one of the things about this podcast. We can be critical and that kind of stuff, but I think part of it is to give people excitement around that we can build better places, better workplaces, better communities, better things. And we're not going to be perfect. We're always going to be messy. We're always going to be shitheads and all that kind of stuff. But you know what? Not everything is the lioness either, right? I love that show, though.
Well, I got to start watching it. No, watch it.
Yeah, well, this is a positive reacher punch towards togetherness. Okay. Dave, I love hanging out with you.
I love you, Lord.
Brother. All right. To the metaphor of building bridges, right?
Amen, brother.
Bye for now.
Bye.